Good morning, students. Today we will see about the MCQs, anatomy, skeletal system and muscular system. We will see musculoskeletal system. It will be useful. Mostly, many important questions will be come in this unit. For example, joints, types of joints is very important questions, and it will be coming as what is bones, total number of bones, types of bone, what is fracture, how many bones are there, short notes on vertebral column, scapula or humerus, ilium, pubis or skull bone. Okay, and complication of fractures, bone healing. So these are all some important questions will be coming, but we will see about the 1 mark first. So 1 mark first one we can see about the what is the movable part of the skull. Skull is unmovable bone. What is the movable part of the skull? It's called the mandible. So total number of ribs is 24. Total number of bones in our body 206. Dash covers the bone. It is called periosteum. The growth of the end of the bone at is called epiphyseal plate. What is that plate? Epiphyseal plate, the end part of the bone. Okay, the fibrous connecting tissue that attach the bone to bone is called the ligament. Dash connect the skeletal muscles to the bone, it is called the tendon. Dash is the largest foramen. Foramen means it's like a opening. Largest foramen, it's called the foramen magnum. Okay, foramen magnum. Dash bone forms the base of the posterior post of the cranium. Occipital bone is there in the posterior part of the cranium. Front part is the frontal bone, right? Then lateral part is a parietal bone, temporal bone down. Okay, how many bones forms the facial skeleton? 14 bones. Okay, dash is the last bone of the vertebral column. So what is the coccyx is the last bone of the vertebral column. Okay, coccyx. Okay, one thing we left. The first cervical vertebra C1 is called atlas. Okay, dash is the fusion of the 5 vertebra is called the, what is the fusion? It's called the sacrum. The rudimental fused vertebra is called the like coccyx. Okay, the congenital defect of the spine is called the spina bifida. Spine will be no, but spina bifida will be like this. Spina bifida. The flat bone seen in the middle in front of the chest, it is called sternum. The kneecap is called, what is the kneecap? It's called patella. C1 is called atlas, C2 is called axis. The total number of cervical bones is 7. The vertebral column composed of 33 bones. So what is that? What is that? 7 cervical, right? 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, and will be 5 lumbar, correct? 5 sacral and 4 coccygeal bone. Together if you count 33. The largest vertebra in a human body. What is called the largest vertebra? That's called the lumbar vertebra. The commonest metabolic disorder of the bone is called osteoporosis. The benign tumor of the bone is called osteoblastoma. The main causes of the disease of the ricket is called vitamin D. Dash is the malignant tumor of osteosarcoma is a malignant tumor. Dash failure of normal ossification of the long bone is called what? The failure of a failure of normal ossification of the long bone is called the achondroplasia. The development of the bone is called the osteogenesis. Dash are the bones for the forearm. What are the dash and dash? Ulnar and the radius. Okay, ulnar is towards the body, radius outside. Okay, that's we are seeing the radial pulse. The modified long bones is called dash. What is the modified long bone? It's called the clavicle. That's the bone which is there in a horizontal in our body. Metacarpal or the dash in number. How many metacarpal bones are there? 5 metacarpal bones are there. The ilium, ischium and pubis forms what? It's from the hip bone. Two hip bones forms what? It's a pelvic girdle. The main function of the pelvis is, what is the main function of pelvic? Childbearing. The child head will be coming through that. Okay, the largest muscle in our body, the longest, not largest muscle is there. Second one, gluteus maximus. Longest muscle, first one is the longest muscle, is called the sartorius muscles. Sartorius muscles. Largest muscle is gluteus maximus. Anvil shaped bone. Anvil shaped bone. Where is the anvil shaped bones? It is called the incus bone. It will be like anvil shaped. The visible portion of the ear is called the pinna. The example of the hinge joint. Hinge joint is the knee joint. Ball and socket joint, shoulder joint. Pivot joint in the neck, vertebral joint. Gliding joint is called the gliding on carpals. It's a gliding joint. Lumbar vertebra. How many lumbar vertebrae are there? There are 5 now. Lumbar vertebrae are there, 5 in number. Dash is responsible for the cramps due to heavy exercise. Lactic acid. Canine teeth of the adult is dash 4. Molar teeth of the adult is 12 molar. Incisor is the number is to help to biting the food. So the incisor teeth is 8. Premolar teeth dash helps to crushing the food. That is also 8. Dash connective tissues envelops the bones. Periosteum. Dash is the cell secretes the matrix of the bone formation. So osteoblast. Dash and dash are the types of bone marrow. Red and yellow bone marrow. Vertebral formulate. How the vertebra formulate how many bones? 33 bones. The vestigial bone part of the vestigial bony part of the human skeleton is called coccyx. The major function of the okay, the joint between the atlas and axis is called what? It's a pivot joint. Okay, the major function of intervertebral disc, it's like absorbs the shock. The hollow space in the middle of the bones is filled with what? It is filled with some of the like it will be what it is filled. It will be filled with some of the red cells and bone marrows. So bone marrow. The muscles is made up of what? The muscles are made up of group of cells and the fibrous connective tissues, right? The functions of tendon. So what is the major functions of the tendon? The main functions of the muscles to connect the muscles up to the bones is connecting the muscles to bone is connected by the tendon. The greater sciatic notch is located in where? It is located in the ilium. A hip bone is called what? So hip bone is otherwise called the inanimate bone. Patella is the dash bone. So what is the patella is like a flat bone, right? A tough sheet that surrounds the bone surface is called what? So it is called periosteum. The surgical replacement of the joint is called arthroplasty. Remove the surgical replacement of joint is called arthroplasty. Ulnar bone is found in what? In the bone, it's in the arms, arm bone, ulna and radius, right? Dash bone is not attached any of the other bones in the human. Hyoid bone. Dash number of bones in the newborn baby, 305. Human, 206. The other name of the kneecap, patella. Okay, sesamoid bone, the patella. The bones of the cranium are joined by sutures, right? That joint can move in only one direction. Hinge joint, only one direction. Hyoid bone found in human body dash. So where this hyoid bone is found in the neck, right? If you see when you are drawing the thyroid gland, you might have seen the hyoid bone. Below that we will draw. Example of sesamoid bone. Patella. Already I told you, patella is also a sesamoid bone. The bone forming cells are called what? It's called osteoblast. Okay. The types of joint in the wrist is a gliding joint. Number of floating ribs in human, two pairs of the floating ribs. The total number of two lower limb bones are what? 60. Dash number of bones in human skull, 22. Total number of bones in the right upper 30. Right? Number of saddle joints in the human body, two saddle joint. Okay, dash is called sprain. Pulling of ligament is called the sprain. While you are falling something, it will be pulled off. Number of vertebrae in human body, 33. Dash record the electrical activity of the muscles, electromyogram, EMG. Finger bones are also known as phalanges. Finger bones are also known as phalanges. Name of the smallest bone in body, stapedius. Right? Muscle, smallest muscle. Bone is called stapes. Smallest muscle is stapedius. The muscle that act and opposites to each other is called the antagonist muscle. Okay. Dash is the thinnest bone in our human body, fibula. Flat bones are what? Sternum and the skull bone. Growing part of the long bone is called epiphysis. Connection between the bone to the bone, it's called the ligament. Connection between the bone to the muscle is called the tendon. The skeletal system is made up of what? Bones, joints, tendon and cartilages. So skeletal system made up of bones, joints, tendon and cartilages. Next one, bones are the dash connective tissue. Bones are the like a dense and the specialized connective tissues made up of this one. Okay, dense also and a specialized connective tissues. Rib cages protect dash and dash. Rib cages protects the lungs and the heart. Okay, bone protect the brain is called the cranium or the skull. Okay, the total bones in the spinal cord, 33. Tarsal and metatarsal found in the forefoot. How many number of thoracic bones? 12. Ball and socket is called what? They are called joints. Total cervical bones, okay, 7. How many lumbar bones? Is also 5. The malleus bone located in our body, middle ear, malleus, incus and stapes, right? Stapes is the smallest bone. Hinge bone present between in the knee joint. Autoimmune disorder affect the neuromuscular junction, also paralyze the skeletal muscles. It is called what? Myasthenia gravis. Dash refer to the disease affect the joint with the swelling and causing the pain, arthritis. Dash is the disease affect the muscle mass, causes the progressive loss of muscles. Progressive loss of muscles. So what is the disease? Muscular dystrophy. What is that called? Muscular dystrophy. The joints where our neck joints and the head is, the joints where our neck is joint, the head is called what? Okay, what is that called? Pivot joint. Okay, then the joint between pivot joint, the joint between the head and the upper jaw is the example of dash joint. Maybe it's a fused joint, right? Like it is a fused joint. Okay, during the heavy exercise we got cramps in the legs and the accumulation of lactic acid. Okay, lactic acid. But in the gout, different, it will affect this one, but in exercise during that lactic acid. Uric acid is called the gout. That is also accumulation of uric acid when the kidney function is little bit reduced. Okay, the bones also swelling, same thing will happen. Dash number of the canine teeth does the adults are having? Okay, dash number of canine teeth is a 4. Dash number of molar teeth 12 in number. Dash number of incisor teeth. Incisor teeth is function is helpful for biting. Molar teeth for the grinding. So how many number of incisor teeth is there? 8. Okay, premolar also 18 number. Tendons and ligaments are the dash connective tissues. It is also tendon and ligaments are the fibrous connective tissues. Composition of the bone marrow is what? So what is the composition of bone marrow? Bone marrow we have seen, this is a hollow cavity between the bones we are seeing, that's called the bone marrow. The bone marrow is composed of like I said, adipose tissues, areolar tissues and the blood, correct? The mammalian pinna is supported by what? The elastic cartilage. Hyaline cartilage does not have calcium phosphate. The hyaline cartilage does not have the elasticity. First one, mammalian pinna is supported by, what is that? It is called the elastic cartilage, but hyaline cartilage does not have a fibrous muscles. Okay, a major inorganic components of the vertebral bones. Inorganic components is a calcium phosphorus. Haversian canal. Haversian canal occurs in what? Humerus canal. It's like a canal will occur mainly in the bone, humerus bone it is occur. Dash the number of bone made the lower jaw or the mandible. Dash number of bone made the lower jaw or the mandible. Only one number of bone, no? Yes. Ilium, ischium, pubis bone combine to form the hip bone, inanimate bone, right? Hip bone. The greater sciatic notch is already we have seen. Ilium, we have seen. Surgical replacement of joint is called arthroplasty. Arthroplasty. The bone does not move at all. Which bone does not move? Skull. But movable bone in the skull? Mandibles. Does create the cranium. So dense fibrous connective tissues create, the bone does not movable, this one does creates the cranium. So cranium, dense fibrous connective tissue. Dense fibrous connective tissues form the cranial bone. Dash is the immovable junction between the two bones. What is the immovable junction? Immovable, like this, immovable junction between this, but suture is the two bones or immovable junction between the carpal and metacarpal limb is by dash joint. So saddle joint. Between the atlas and axis is the joint, pivot joint, right? In the neck we have seen the same, in other way they have asked. So this is called the pivot joint. Between the carpal bones, dash joint, gliding joint. It's called the gliding joint. So when the short notes on synovial joint, you can write bidal joint, knee joint, hinge joints like Sollenbacher joint. With the example you can write. That is one of the important question. Hope you enjoyed this one. So mostly you can expect 5 or 7 questions from this area. You can come either form of a match the following or this one. Thank you so much.